What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp for the Wrestling Inc. podcast, here alongside Sean Ross Sapp of WrestlingInc.com. Yes, Rob had prior commitments. Raj is in Dallas. He was at Supercard of Honor tonight. Vince also in Dallas. He has signings, meet and greets, and things like that at WrestleCon. So if you don't like me, it's going to be a long show for you. Tonight, NXT TakeOver Dallas, an excellent show, I thought. Some surprising results, I thought, as well. Familiar faces showing up. A lot to talk about, and I'm going to be answering a lot of your questions tonight. I want this show to be about you guys. Since I don't have a co-host, I don't have anybody to bounce things off of. I'm just going to bounce things off of you guys. Somebody just said that they saw Raj in the lobby at the Hyatt. Yeah, Raj was also at Wale Mania last night, rubbing elbows with the likes of Wale and Moose and people like that. Fantastic stuff. Looked like a great party. NXT TakeOver Dallas, you guys. All kinds of stuff. Somebody asks if Raj was crunk. Let's be real. You know he was. You know he was. That's not even a question. Anyway, let's get right into the show, you guys. We started off NXT TakeOver Dallas, American Alpha versus Dash and Dawson. Before this show, myself and Rob had said that this might be the match that steals the show this weekend. Unfortunately, it was not that. In my opinion, this match was a little disappointing. It was rough around the edges. There were some spots that kind of got messed up. But even with that, it's really hard to not be entertained by these two teams, right? These guys are just unbelievable. Gable and Jordan have star written all over them. Glad to see them win the tag team titles, because when was the last time really that the most over tag team in NXT had the titles? And it could be argued that Enzo and Cass are more over than them, and that's a fair argument. But they might not be there. They might not be there much longer. So there is that. As always, guys, chime in using the hashtag AskWrestlingInc. Hashtag. We got a lot of stuff going on, guys. And somebody says Sean tried to disable the chat. No, I didn't, YouTube heels. I absolutely did not. I would not do that. I appreciate all feedback from YouTube, Twitter, the post page, all that stuff. But yeah, I was a little disappointed in the American Alpha Revival match. That being said, I still thought it was a good match. I just thought it was going to be maybe top 2-3 match of the weekend, and I don't know if it'll be that. It very well could be, because I think maybe it was still a top 3 match tonight. But you know, I had high expectations for it after the rave reviews I heard about their matches in Indianapolis. They had a 2 out of 3 falls match in Indianapolis, and I thought that they would steal the show tonight. That didn't happen, but nothing was going to steal the show besides what did. Let's be real. But American Alpha, just they have it. I spoke to them at the Arnold Sports Festival. Incredibly kind people, down to earth people. They have that aura of just special. They can go in the ring. They have the crowd behind them. And it's not something that was manufactured. It's natural. They have a natural charisma that is really hard to be replicated, which is the case for a lot of people in NXT, honestly. NXT does a really good job with a lot of stuff, like their production, with their vignettes, things like that. Their theme music for almost everybody it just fits so perfectly. I think American Alpha are one of those. Also, the new American Alpha shirts that came out, and the new Dash and Dawson shirts that came out today. You know, let's be real, guys. I made this clear on Thursday's show. I hate shopping. I hate shopping for clothes. I hate doing all that stuff. But man, and I hate wrestling shirts by and large. Those two teams have some pretty kick-ass merchandise. So that hopefully that changes the guard in that. That way we don't have some of those hideous shirts like we see Dolph Ziggler wearing. Those "It's Too Bad, I'm Too Good" shirts that looked like he stole the logo from Real Monsters from Nickelodeon in the 90s. Yeah, crazy stuff. One thing I absolutely hated about this match is the insane camera cuts. please, dear Lord, baby Jesus, keep those horrible zooming Monday Night Raw camera cuts off of NXT. One of the appeals of NXT is that it's shot differently than Monday Night Raw. It looks different. It's lit different. So you don't need that same production. Obviously, the production values that it has are more than the likes of Ring of Honor and TNA and Lucha Underground to an extent. Although Lucha Underground is part of its charm as well. But that, somebody says Sean watches Nickelodeon. I did in the early to mid 90s. I absolutely did. But yeah, I don't like those camera cut, those zooms. Somebody mentioned this on Twitter, and I thought it was perfect. Let the pro wrestlers do the pro wrestling moves, not a cameraman. They don't need people switching the camera every time Bayley makes impact with an elbow. That doesn't happen. That doesn't need to happen. I couldn't stand it. Somebody asked if anybody else had streaming issues on the network. Yeah, I did at first. I was livid. I missed actually, I'll talk about this in a moment because it ties in with another major match. Yeah, next up we had Baron Corbin versus Austin Aries. Had to take a drink of water, folks. Going solo tonight. Call me crazy. I know a lot of people don't like Baron Corbin. I love Baron Corbin. I think that his indie killer gimmick is fantastic. He will never run out of people to feud with if that's the case, because he has the likes of Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Austin Aries, as we mentioned. All these people, even TNA guys, like former TNA guys like AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, people like that came up like that. He has infinite ammunition to continue feuds, and I like that. I was all on board with Baron Corbin winning tonight and Austin Aries eating the loss. Normally, I would not advocate something like that in somebody's debut, but Austin Aries is no he's 37. I think he'll be 38 this month. And Baron Corbin, I think, has much more upside than Austin Aries does. Now, obviously, Austin Aries is better in the ring. There's no doubt about that. And I thought this was a very enjoyable match. That deep six on the outside, severe. Severe. Are you serious? Couldn't imagine taking that move. Austin Aries got the victory. Like I said, an enjoyable match. I want to know, leave me some comments. Tell me how you would rate each of these matches. We'll go on the star rating. Out of 5, how would you all rate American Alpha versus the Revival? How would you all rate Baron Corbin versus Austin Aries? I want to hear from you guys. This is a largely interactive show tonight. But I really, really think that Baron Corbin over the past year has improved just drastically. The steps that he has made, the steps that he has taken, they moved him out of that awkward babyface role that he had and into this guy who just, like I said, hates the indies. He thinks that he's better than the people who came up wrestling in gyms, although they're practically wrestling in gyms in Florida now. But yeah, I think it's a great gimmick for somebody that size. Sometimes it's kind of hard to build gimmicks for guys that size. They always seem to go with the supernatural thing. Doesn't always work. Somebody says I look like the Hamburglar. This is gray and dark blue, but I guess it does look black and white on here. Indeed. Somebody said 4 stars for AA and the Revival. I don't think so, guys. I think that was maybe, a 3-star match. I thought it was an enjoyable match, though. I mean, you all seem to enjoy that tag match more than I did. More power to you. That's the beauty of pro wrestling, you guys. Entertainment is subjective. Somebody else could think it's a 1-star match. I could think it's a 5-star match. Either way, I think it's safe to say if you forgot why you love pro wrestling, you were reminded tonight. And I was reminded why I hate streaming services tonight, because right before Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura, the WWE Network logged me out and I couldn't sign back in. And I didn't get to sign back in until they were facing off in the ring. So I rewound it and watched Shinsuke Nakamura's unbelievable entrance. If you all were paying attention to the site today, you saw a little sneak preview. WWE did remove the video. But how incredible is Shinsuke Nakamura's theme song. The entrance, maybe not so much in particular. The strobe lights were a little seizure-inducing, but man, that theme song, perfect. The violins, things like that. If you didn't see, a couple months ago, a woman named Kei Suzuki posted a violin cover of Shinsuke Nakamura's New Japan theme, which was Subconscious. And I was like, man, I hope that they give him a violin-themed song. And they did. That was pretty cool. He's just unbelievably charismatic, like to a level which can't be conveyed. I had a guy that was tweeting me saying, do you think it's a given that Nakamura gets over in the WWE? Because I don't, and I've never seen him before. By the end of that match, he said, yep, you're right. He's going to get over. And I think that he will. He is a big name that NXT needs. Some of these NXT shows, these weekly shows, getting kind of stale. They're starting to feel the impact of losing some of the women that they lost. And pretty soon, I mean, Sami Zayn's not going to be on there anymore after this week, at least regularly. So they need somebody to fill in that role. And I think Shinsuke Nakamura more than does that. This match was unbelievable. This match, in my opinion, a true 5-star match. And I say that because we all knew that Shinsuke Nakamura was going to win that match. Did anybody really have a doubt that Nakamura was going to win that match? Yet when Sami Zayn hit a blue thunder bomb and the ref's hand went down for a 3 count, I bought it. I was like, holy crap, Sami Zayn's winning this. Or maybe even Nakamura got knocked out. Something happened. Awesome fight forever chants. Yes. Fight and entertain us until you die in the ring. I would have loved to have seen like 40 minutes of those two just back and forth. The only spot that I thought was a little questionable, I thought the forearm spot went back and forth a little too long, but that's kind of a New Japan staple. And Nakamura has said that he didn't watch a lot of video of Zayn before coming over here, but you got to believe after that match, he's done his homework. Surely he's done his homework. Just magnificent, this match. A reminder of why we love pro wrestling. It was beautiful. They had this spot, the punch spot, where the crowd usually goes boo, yay, boo, yay. But it was just yay, because everybody loves Sami Zayn, a truly likable person, a genuine person. It shines through in his character. Nakamura's thing, I mean, once upon a time, he was considered a failed project in New Japan. And then he rebranded himself the King of Strong Style and took off. And it's incredible that despite the things that we see on the WWE's main roster and how they are stuck in the past and how sometimes they can seem out of touch, that they were able to see past whatever usual roadblock, no pun intended, that they have towards some of these people like Nakamura and Asuka, who can't speak very good English, are in their mid-30s, and they have come to NXT and performed unbelievably. No hiccups. I mean, I know some of Asuka's matches have had to be edited a little bit, but just if this is how Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be, sold, on board. I already was to begin with, but how can you dislike it? And Sami Zayn gave it right back to him. Like Sami Zayn, it was one of those things where he's like, hey, I'm a nice guy. I'm Sami Zayn. Oh, I'm getting the shit beat out of me. Well, I better fight back. That type of thing. Unbelievable, these two. Just, I can't put over this match enough. I was glowing. It was such an emotional send-off for Sami Zayn. The crowd showed him great respect as he's likely leaving. He's probably done with NXT, main roster bound, which is even more unbelievable that in 2 days he has a ladder match. A ladder match, and it might not be as violent as the match that he just did. So hats off to Sami Zayn. Hats off to Nakamura. Sami Zayn coming back from that injury, we didn't know where he would end up. Main roster, NXT. Spent a little time in NXT, made his way back. Rehab the injury. Speaking of rehabilitating injuries, you guys, ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. That'll help you rehab a lot of injuries. For real, though, not even a part of the pitch. Did you all see the type of shape that Scott Hall is in? He looks like he's ready to get back in the ring, and I'm not even joking. Okay, so I guess that is a part of the plug, but Scott Hall is in, gosh, I don't think he was in this good a shape during his first TNA run in like 2004. Go look at that on his Twitter. The dude looks like he could get in there and throw a razor's edge. And it's all because of ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. Go there, get a great deal on the Max Pack. If you all would, tweet DDP and DDP Yoga. Let them know that Wrestling Inc. sent you and support the Wrestling Inc. podcast. If you haven't, check out The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, available now on Vudu, Amazon, Google Play, PlayStation Network, iTunes, all over the place. One of my favorite wrestling documentaries. As I've mentioned, if you saw the sad story of Jake the Snake Roberts in the WWE documentary or Beyond the Mat, this is a great companion piece for that. Also, if you are in Dallas this weekend, Sunday morning, check out DDP Yoga's DDP Yoga Workshop. DDP's trying to get over 150 people there. I'm going to contact him tonight, see how many people he's at. I know he wanted to break the previous record, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to do it in Dallas. I love DDP Yoga. It's personally helped me out a lot. Helped out guys like AJ Styles, John Cena, Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, obviously. So definitely support the Wrestling Inc. podcast. We have some other good working relationships coming up that I'm sure you all will enjoy. I'm sure. Because as I've mentioned, I will not push a product on you unless I've tried it or we like it. But yeah, support the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Programming note, by the way, Sunday night after WrestleMania, of course, we will be here with Vince Russo. He's flying back tomorrow, and he's doing the show with me Sunday. But Nakamura, Sami Zayn, I'm not done talking about it. I just want to glow about it. I want to gush about it some more. The fact that they're able to work this style despite the concern of concussions shows me that at least, somebody is, they're not sacrificing the integrity of their product, even though they've lost a couple of guys due to concussions. And that's a good thing. You have to protect the wrestlers. You do. But it's good that they are not, they're not going to, like I said, sacrifice the integrity of the product. Somebody said it seems like Itami's injury is worse than expected. Yeah, I don't know if he's even near returning. Here's the question I have. What should Hideo Itami do upon returning? They're really babyface heavy now. Well, maybe not if Zayn's gone. I would love Itami as a heel. I don't know if that'll happen, but I would love Hideo Itami as a heel. Like, he hates American fans. He brings his own group of people and sits them ringside, like in a little row, and they just lightly clap like some Japanese fans do. And he says that that's how fans should react. And he just has this disdain for American fans. I think you could do that. That could be fun. But he's gonna need to be in NXT for a while, because I don't know that he was catching on too well before he left. I'll talk about Balor later, but their offense is, they need to vary up the offense a little bit. It's a lot of drop kicks, enziguri, straight kicks. But I know they're obviously capable of doing more than that. What did you all think of Bobby Roode being at NXT? Was it too much for you? Is it too many TNA guys? Or is it a good thing? Bobby Roode, 39-40, I believe. Is having Samoa Joe, Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, is that too much? Is that too many TNA guys? I mean, they're good TNA guys. They're not bringing over Mahabali Shera. They're not bringing over guys who can't work. They're bringing over the best of the best that TNA has to offer. I mean, you had to think that there was going to be interest on the WWE side, at least as perhaps a player coach. And I would love a Bobby Roode and Austin Aries versus American Alpha tag team feud. That would be off the charts. However, I don't necessarily want to see all of the top spots in NXT monopolized by TNA guys. I don't want to see that. They've had their runs elsewhere, and they are later on in their careers, and they should be helping out the younger people. That being said, I do think that they have something to offer, and if a singles run happens, it's probably fresh. But also, would you all be against Samoa Joe, Austin Aries, and Bobby Roode, like a TNA faction against the Balor Club? Now, it seems like the Balor Club's going straight to WWE, no appearance tonight, so we would be inclined to believe so. I personally think that the Balor Club may show up Monday night. I can't confirm that or anything, but I would love that. And WWE has a global cruiserweight series coming up soon too. So a lot of guys signed for that. Kota Ibushi in the crowd. If you're not familiar with Kota Ibushi, unbelievable New Japan Pro Wrestling, former New Japan Pro Wrestling talent. You wondered how he would be after his neck injury. He had a severe neck injury last year. Came back in his first match. He was doing crazy stuff again. So he didn't change. I mean, his longevity might change based on that, but it doesn't look like he's going to change his style per se. So the Kota Ibushi tease, that was something. I was more intrigued by that than the Bobby Roode thing, even though Bobby Roode is definitely a bigger name to American fans. Somebody said, is Shark Boy still around? They could sign him. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him in as like a one-time enhancement talent. If Blue Pants got over there, I'm sure that Shark Boy would get a good reaction. Somebody said straight out of sources. Yeah, I did actually try to message Carl Anderson about that sarcastically and asked him if he had a couch to move or if he could help me move a couch on Monday night or if he had plans. And he didn't reply, and he usually always replies. So come on, Carl. Come on. Yeah, check out my interview I had with him from a while back. Fun stuff. Good dude. Very entertaining. If he and Doc Gallows end up with their own show on the network, that's entertainment. Those two guys, super entertaining. Moving on with NXT, Bayley versus Asuka. Excellent match. Asuka is unbelievable. Also, Asuka backstage, if you all didn't notice, she was hitting pads and was hitting pads with the Kimbo Killer, Seth Petrozelli, former Strikeforce and UFC fighter. He is basically the striking coach at NXT, which is kind of weird because many of their strikes you can't work MMA style. Of course, many of them you can, as you've seen with Nakamura and Asuka and Samoa Joe. But yeah, Seth Petrozelli cameo, possibly a bigger name than Itami, or not Itami, than Kota Ibushi or Bobby Roode. I think more people saw his Kimbo fight than have ever seen them. But yeah, Asuka versus Bayley, I thought was a really good match. The finish, I don't know about that. Somebody said it looks like Bayley is in full Cena mode. I mean, she's lost to a lot of people down there, but let's be real, she should be. She is a special talent. She appeals to the same, well, not necessarily the same demographic as John Cena, but the opposite gender, but same demographic as John Cena. Incredibly over, fantastically, a great talent. Asuka is great as well. I love the style that Asuka goes full speed ahead, just beats the living crap out of people. What I didn't like is with the Asuka lock, the ref called for the bell. He didn't do like the 3-hand lift or anything like that. I thought that was kind of an awkward ending to that match. And that probably shouldn't, I know they have to protect Asuka, but, just do the 3 raise of the hands thing and it'll help put over the move a little more, things like that. I just feel like this finish has been done a lot, but you know what? How many times do we see that happen in MMA? We see it like once a month. So there's nothing really wrong with that. People, you wonder after this, is Bayley headed for the main roster? I know Asuka probably, I know she's not, there are like no plans for her to go to the main roster. She's meant to be an NXT talent, and that's okay. Bayley is still on the post-WrestleMania NXT loops, from what I understand. So it doesn't look like she's going up yet. That, I mean, and why would she? If she goes up, you got to imagine she's going to be involved in a major program right away. And based on what happens Sunday night, that will tell us a lot. What happens in the Divas title match on Sunday will give us a better idea of the direction that they're going to go. Just somebody said, I'm scared of them screwing up Bayley on Raw. Me too. I'm scared of them screwing up a lot of people on Raw. Like we talked about Enzo and Cass, and I've said this a million times. The Enzo and Cass shtick is fantastic, and it's great when you see it once every 2 or 3 weeks. But what happens when you start seeing it every week or even twice a week if they put them on SmackDown? Somebody says Vince will give Bayley a crap gimmick. I don't think so. I think he is acutely aware of Bayley, how over she is, how well she does with crowds. At the Columbus shows, it was towards the end of the day, so the crowds were like maybe 4 or 5 lines deep by the barricade. The first note of Bayley's music hit, and the crowd just went bananas, and they rushed the guardrails, and it was loaded. And I saw grown men and little girls crying over Bayley hugging them. Now, I mean, say what you will about that, but there are not a lot of people that garner that type of reaction in today's environment, and that there's a lot to be said about that. Good match, wonky finish. Bayley, her emotions afterwards, her facial expressions of her emotions afterwards, really good. Asuka looking at her while she walks up the ramp. Asuka looks right with that championship. She just looks like she fits with that title, and that's a good thing. They gave it to a non-English speaking Japanese woman in her mid-30s, and by all means had no hesitation to do so over their most over NXT talent. Something to be said about that, because 10 years ago, that doesn't happen. That would not have happened 10 years ago. So at least things are changing a little bit in NXT. Hopefully that can carry to the main roster. Somebody said, dude, Vince thought Eva would get a good reaction. Okay, so about that, as we mentioned on last night's show, Dave Meltzer, while he breaks a lot of stories, is not the best communicator all the time. And I think that was more of an assumption than a statement that Vince thought that Eva would get a good reaction. Because, I mean, there's no way that somebody didn't come up to him and say, hey, bad idea. By the way, guys, if you all don't mind, thumbs up this video on YouTube, share it all over the place, let people know you're watching, leave a positive review on iTunes, that kind of stuff helps, and subscribe to our YouTube, because all of our podcasts go up there, our interviews, our interview highlights. If I'm like at an event and we capture live video, like we had one of Bayley doing Ty Dillinger's gimmick last month, they go up there as well, so check that out. Main event, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor. Finn Balor's entrance, he had the chainsaw. He did not ask Terry Funk's permission to use the chainsaw. How dare you? How dare you bite Dean Ambrose's style just 2 days before? Obviously, it's an homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I thought it was a great tie-in. Great stuff. My fiance made me notice that every time back behind Samoa Joe on his Titantron, it like zooms in on his face and he growls, which I thought was hilarious. She was like, I just can't stand him because he growls in his Titantron video. I was like, if that's your biggest complaint, I guess they're doing something right. But the two guys whose entrance really helps make them, they had that completely duty Samoa Joe theme that they first had that sounded like some crappy like tiki dance song, and they just completely revamped it and made it sound like a monster was walking down to the ring. Finn Balor's entrances, as always, at NXT TakeOver is really good. I love the color scheme, all that stuff. Really good. Match started out stiff. They beat the hell out of each other, especially Samoa Joe. He would counter and slip those strikes from Finn Balor and just smack the piss out of Balor. Thought it was great. Early on, Samoa Joe put Finn Balor in a tie clinch or a tie plum, depending on what you want to call it, and brought Finn Balor's head in and caused a cut. Now, as you saw during this match, or maybe you didn't see, it's hard not to if you actually watch the match. But refs, cut men, or not necessarily, maybe cut men, but people had to step in and close the cut. This took way longer than it needed to. Caused 2 or 3 stoppages. The crowd did not like it. It was really killing the momentum of the match. Although I did like that every time that they went back, they would really go at it full speed. So that was cool. WWE really needs to hire like a top-of-the-line cut man, like a Stitch or somebody like that, Jacob Stitch Duran. Have them on standby for stuff like this. Nothing against the guys they had, but should not have taken them this many times or this long to do that. Somebody says Meltzer was wrong. Gasp. I didn't say he was wrong. I said it was an assumption. Dave Meltzer breaks a lot of story, guys. I hate this notion that he makes stuff up. This is a business full of workers, and workers are going to work you no matter what. That's just how it happens. You're going to get worked by some people. But yeah, they went at it hard, and the cut slowed things down. But in a way, I think it helped keep some heat on the match in an unusual way. They had to take care of it, but I think they spent way too much time on it. Finn Balor, he stepped up he varied up his moveset, which is something I've complained about, and I hate complaining about that because usually it doesn't matter. But when almost all your moves are drop kicks, you got to kind of switch it up a little bit. I love that he started to use the Bloody Sunday. I thought that was a great move, even though he named it something else. Somebody send me the name of it. But somebody says, Sean works us. No, I don't, you guys. I am completely honest with you guys. I love you guys. But yeah, Finn Balor switched things up tonight. Samoa Joe did too. Those smacks. Like I said, I love those smacks, how he would dip around, dodge. The 1916 is the name of Finn Balor's finish. Joe got mad at the cutmen, pushed him away. I heard Stephanie McMahon looked very unhappy in the crowd when he did that. Because, I mean, they're there for a reason. They are there for a reason. It's to protect the guys. Ultimately, they do have mandatory blood testing. So they are covered in that regard. This isn't like a Bob Orton situation where he goes in there with Hep C or whatever it is and bleeds all over the Undertaker, which is good because that should not be happening. But for sure, definitely get some better cut men. They're out there. Stitch got fired by the UFC last year. Bring him in. He's great. I'm pretty sure he doesn't work. I mean, maybe he had a gig somewhere, but for like those Sunday pay-per-view shows, yeah, bring him in. Somebody says, Sean, you haven't told us the story about Kentucky blood and why WWE doesn't go there. I'll do that after the NXT coverage. I'll do that in between that and the WrestleMania rumors. The finish of this match, I thought Joe was going over, and I thought this would set up, a Balor Club debut on Monday or maybe Sunday. Who knows? They did the Stone Cold Steve Austin Bret Hart finish from Survivor Series 1996, and Balor won. I don't think they're like, weirdly enough, I don't think there are a lot of convincing like near falls in a Balor match. And I don't know if the crowd thought that was going to be the end of it, but it was. And I'm okay with that too, because you have to have some unpredictability. Not every match can end the same exact way, and NXT's been pretty good about that. They'll have double finishes. They'll have people like Baron Corbin will win with a deep six and then hit the end of days after a match. I like things like that. Finn Balor will switch it up between the coup de grace and the 1916 or the 1916. NXT does really awesome jobs at varying things up like that. So I like that. However, I thought that Samoa Joe was going to win. I thought maybe he should have won, but really it's hard to say that somebody should have won or they should have taken it this direction until you really see where they're going to go with it after that. Now, in WWE's case, main roster case, we see that coming from a million miles away generally. NXT, not so much. It's a little more unpredictable. Granted that they've rendered some of their weekly shows not unwatchable, but not a lot of people seem to be watching them because they tape so far in advance. I mean, Bull Dempsey was on this week's episode of NXT. He got killed off by Samoa Joe, but he got fired like 2 months ago, and they knew it was coming, obviously. Somebody said, is Joe moving up? I wouldn't mind it. I would love Joe to move up. I thought Joe should have moved up probably after TakeOver London because the roster in the WWE was so bare. I know a lot. He could have added some star power. Somebody said Stitch signed with Bellator today. Yeah, that's not exclusive, though. He's allowed to work elsewhere. He always has been, I believe. I can't imagine that Bellator would have an exclusive deal with a cut man, but maybe I'm wrong. I know they sent me the press release, but I didn't have time to check it out. Excellent TakeOver. Fantastic show. Really good stuff out of them. I'm intrigued. I can't wait to see where the story goes from here. From almost all these guys, does Bayley go up? Will she engage in a long-term feud with Asuka? Because that's a real possibility. Who else is in NXT now? I mean, even Eva Marie, who is one of the top heels there, might be on the main roster now. God forbid. Lord help us. What did we do to deserve it? But it looks like it's the case. Emma, rightfully up on the main roster. So what else is there? Carmella isn't ready for that. She's not ready for a feud with Asuka. Dana Brooks hurt, so we don't know what's going on there. What about Baron Corbin at this point? Is he moving up anytime soon? He's probably ready. I know some of you all don't want to hear that, but he's getting there. He's close. As ready as a lot of the big guys. I mean, definitely was more ready than Braun Strowman, although that was a completely different situation. Somebody says Bayley staying for the rematch versus Asuka. Yeah, of course she is. But you know, she can move up as well. I mean, Sami Zayn's been pulling double duty. We know Sami Zayn's going up. We know that Vince McMahon watched the Nakamura Sami Zayn match on a monitor backstage because there's a picture floating around of it. If I'm Vince McMahon, I'm saying, well, we got to get that Nakamura guy up there yesterday, but you know, he's got to acclimate to the WWE environment. I know a lot of people think you can just run in and just jump in. That's not always the case with foreign guys because different style in the US. They gotta work for TV. AJ Styles did it, but he wrestled on TV in America for 14 years? Because he was back in WCW. Somebody says the finish was also the Bret Hart Roddy finish. Yeah, Bret Hart likes that finish. Also, American Alpha. Who are their next challengers? Like I said, I would love for it to be Austin Aries and Bobby Roode. I love Dash and Dawson. I would like for them to get, I mean, sure, they are going to get another match because the rematch clause. I would count on their rematch probably being better, but we know that American Alpha is going to retain. Yeah, so, okay, I'll hold the Kentucky Athletic Commission WWE story off for a few minutes. People keep asking about Goldberg. Is Goldberg returning or not? There's been a lot of murmurs and things like that. Guys, I would be very surprised if Goldberg returned for a few reasons. He wants a lot of money. He also wants his kids to see him wrestle, but he wants a lot of money. I know WWE's talked with him before, and they have been so far off on money figures that it just wasn't worth it. Also, Goldberg has a huge ego. And I'm not talking like, you know, like these people have an ego. Triple H puts himself over. The guy has a real big ego. Like even at 48, 49, 50 or whatever. Yeah, I got the feeling from what I've heard from him and even speaking to him personally that he thinks that he should still go over these guys. And, you know, for a little while, sure, but somebody's got to get the rub off of him and beat him. And I think during his first run, the only person that beat him was Triple H. And, you know, that didn't do much for Triple H that he didn't already have. Yeah, Goldberg is 49. Probably not in the best shape of his life. But I would be very surprised if that happened. I'm not saying it won't because WWE has pulled stuff like this out of their hat repeatedly. But here's what you have to wonder. And I'm a proponent. I advocate them using part-timers. But here's the thing. They have to use some of these part-timers to get other people over. You've got Shane McMahon and The Undertaker essentially headlining WrestleMania. Two guys who are not full-time wrestlers, will never be full-time wrestlers. Triple H against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns will probably go over him. Good. Ambrose versus Lesnar. And if Ambrose doesn't win, you have another part-timer winning. In the past, you've had The Rock going over a lot. John Cena beat him, but that was it. And John Cena didn't need that. I mean, the match needed to happen. The first one really needed to happen. The second one didn't. But Cena didn't need that. Cena didn't get any bigger because of that. They have to get some people over, and I get the feeling that maybe that Goldberg isn't that interested in doing that. I could be wrong. Maybe things have changed since I spoke to him last year, but he certainly didn't seem that into it then. People asking about Kurt Angle. I would be also very surprised if he got to wrestle. I wouldn't be surprised if he was on screen in some capacity. Like if he just made some appearance or something like that, put somebody in an ankle lock. He was in really, really, really bad shape 10 years ago when he left WWE. It's surprising that he was allowed to wrestle back then, but he wanted part-time back then because his body was too beaten up. He's been through hell in TNA. Say what you will about TNA. He had 4-star matches, like dozens of them in TNA with people who really had no reason to be in 4-star matches. So I would be surprised to see Angle wrestling. Would not be surprised to see Angle involved in some capacity. I think another concern of WWE's is he really clean? Is his life really straightened up? He's had some problems with DUIs and things like that. I hope so, because he's a valuable person. Whether it's at the Performance Center, whether it's on screen, something like that, he's a very valuable person. Somebody else asked about Sting appearing most likely. I mean, he'll be there. He'll be on the stage when they do the Hall of Fame thing where they bring out all them. Sting said this morning that he's not saying that he's retiring, or at least he's not yet. He still wants to face The Undertaker. If he can go and he can do it, sure, why not? Do it. If he's healthy for a SummerSlam, put it on SummerSlam. If he wants to do it next WrestleMania, sure, why not? But it can't be Undertaker's last match. Undertaker's last match also, I think, has to be to put somebody over that needs it. At the time, we were like, man, Brock Lesnar doesn't need to beat The Undertaker. But as it turns out, he did, because it helped him immensely. They need somebody like that too. Somebody said Sting would be 58 if it happens at next Mania, right? He proved that he would go all out in the Seth Rollins match, but Seth Rollins and The Undertaker are two different kinds of competitors. By the way, send in your questions, hashtag Wrestling Inc. Podcast. So this Kentucky Blood WWE thing. WWE will not run television in Kentucky. And this question came to me during the Finn Balor Samoa Joe thing. So the reason is you're not allowed to blade in Kentucky. Sure, that's fine. That should be illegal. The Kentucky Boxing and Wrestling Authority makes it very hard for events to run in Kentucky, especially low-level ones. Personally, the company that I've done a few shows for, they ran into that. Like, they make it really hard, so we just go across the river where Ohio has some more relaxed rules. One of the reasons is because the IWA Mid-South, Ian Rotten's promotion, did all these, like, the garbage matches where they bled everywhere. So they were like, oh, well, we need to make more, we need to regulate this better. But the thing is, it's a money grab for the Kentucky Boxing and Wrestling Authority. They make you get a license to wrestle. You have to get a wrestler's license to train. So if you've never taken a back bump before, you have to drive to Frankfurt and get a license before you take a bump, which kind of defeats the purpose of a wrestler's license, does it not, to make sure you're qualified? WWE won't run television there because if you bleed, you have to have a ringside doctor stop the cut, much like we saw tonight. But there's no relaxed rules like that in Kentucky where you can just push the ref away and go. No, you have to stop it. You have to stop it and make sure that's cut. WWE can't afford to run live TV there and have that hold up their time, especially when they can run Indianapolis and Cincinnati, which are really, really close to the Kentucky border. Basically, it comes down to a money grab of the Kentucky Boxing and Wrestling Authority. I'm friends with some of the people there, and they give me the reasons, and it's really bad. They'll say, we regulate it so much, so some little indie promotion in Paducah doesn't advertise Hulk Hogan and then say, oh, sorry, he's not here, no refunds. That's not why. It's a money grab. Everybody knows it's a money grab. Louisville and Lexington, the city, Rupp Arena and the Yum Center are livid at the Kentucky Boxing and Wrestling Authority because that takes money away from the state and money away from them. That's basically it with the Kentucky thing, but something I've had to deal with firsthand. Somebody says, do you think Kenny Omega will ever come to the WWE? Yeah, I do. I do think so. He's got a good relationship, great relationship with several people here, including Xavier Woods. So, and WWE wants him, especially if you believe him, because they made like 3 offers to him, I think it was. He's a fantastic talent as well. Really not Nakamura level, but he's almost a comic book character in that his facial expressions and his in-ring charisma are something that aren't replicated elsewhere. And he makes it work on a high level. Also, if you've been checking out his YouTube videos with the Young Bucks, A+. Great stuff out of them. Let me get to some of the questions on the podcast page. Somebody says, will the Young Bucks ever come? After their Ring of Honor deal next year, I think they might entertain that because they're going to be hitting their 30s soon. At least one of them is in their 30s. The other one's up there. But yeah, I do. Somebody says the Young Bucks are overrated indie spot monkeys. Hey, buddy, their gimmick's working on you because that's their gimmick. Their gimmick is literally that they're indie spot monkeys that do too many super kicks. That's it. Their gimmick is basically that they piss off Jim Cornette. And what's so wrong with that? Would you be open to a Jeff Hardy return? No. I'll tell you why. I don't know if you all have checked out TNA lately. Not a lot of people do, which is, they've had some decent shows lately. He's looked like crap. He's looked like absolute crap physically, and, he's in bad shape. His knee is hurt. He should not be wrestling right now. Now, maybe once he gets the surgery that he's putting off, sure, maybe he'll come back and he'll be the old Jeff Hardy again. But maybe he's at the point of no return. Maybe his injury is too much. Maybe not. I thought Jeff Hardy would be that guy who just could wrestle that way for a long, long time. I mean, he did it for a while, but this knee injury seems to be the straw that broke the camel's back. It's crazy to say Matt Hardy really is the best best Hardy brother right now. He's fully committed to his gimmick. Congratulations on him getting his 1 millionth follower, by the way. Somebody says Goldberg just wants one match at WrestleMania. Well, if that's the case, he's got to lose. You can't have a guy who you put over Brock Lesnar in his last match, come back 12, 13 years later and beat one of your guys. I mean, if they want to redo him versus Lesnar and Lesnar beats the crap out of him, cool. I don't want to see Goldberg beating a younger guy. I don't want to see Goldberg beating anybody. What good does that do? I feel like his nostalgia act isn't as warmly received as people, as some of the other ones like Sting. Somebody said Mick Foley lost 50 pounds on DDP Yoga. Yes, he did. He said that last night on the Stone Cold podcast. He said that he lost 50 pounds and responded by saying he used ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. Y'all should use it. Just saying. Did you find the main event result to be a bit underwhelming? I did, kind of. I thought that Samoa Joe was going to win it. It looks like Finn Balor may end up having the longest reign in NXT history. Good for him. I've kind of found his whole title run a little underwhelming, though. And I'm all aboard the Finn Balor, express, you guys. Cool. He's good in the ring. He's a good talent. Like I said, I'd like it if he switched things up a little more inside the ring. But I think he's special. He's something that they can use. They have no shortage of special talents in NXT, but they got to get some of those up there on the main roster to help things out. Somebody says, was Asuka's thong TV-14? I think it was painted onto her gear, right? Yeah, very colorful gear from them. Do you think that Joe should have won over Finn? As I mentioned, yeah, I do. I really do. Nakamura, now you have to believe. Any non-believers need to open their eyes. Oh, yeah. I did, and I had that, experienced that on Twitter tonight. I had somebody say, I think they're pushing the charismatic thing too much. I've not seen him. I don't know if he'll be over on the main roster. Don't know if he'll be over here. And by the end, they were like, well, changed my mind. Who do you predict will be up come Monday? Well, let's see. I still think the Balor Club could be. I think that would be good. Sami Zayn obviously is. There's a possibility of Bayley, but I think it's an outside chance. A really outside chance. There's a good possibility we may not see a lot of people up on Monday. May just be one. I mean, last year we saw Neville and Kalisto come up, and Sin Cara came back with him. And then later on in the year, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, but it's quite possible it might be until the summer, until some of these guys come up, which is unfortunate. Which was the best match on the show? Oh, Nakamura Zayn. I think Nakamura Zayn might have been better than Nakamura AJ Styles from Wrestle Kingdom, and that's not something that you just throw around all willy-nilly, you guys. That's not just that match was incredible. Shinsuke Nakamura, he's really the reason why I got into watching Japanese pro wrestling. I mean, about 15 years ago, I saw a tape of High Abuses, and I started to watch it then, but I kind of fell out of it. And then when I started to cover it for the site, I volunteered to cover it because of Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles. Those were the main reasons, and the Bullet Club because they're all fun to watch. And now he's over here, and he's already tearing stuff up. By the way, speaking of New Japan, I'm going to be doing live coverage of Invasion Attack. I believe it's April 10th. I don't know what that is in America. Maybe April 9th. I guess it's the same day. But I will be up in the wee hours of the morning to cover that. So really looking forward to my sleeping schedule being screwed up a lot. Somebody says, what about Samoa Joe coming up on Monday? I would 100% be on board for that, because what do you do with Samoa Joe at this point? He's lost 2 title matches on 2 special events. That feud has lasted, 5-6 months now? So, you know, somebody said, would Bayley have won had she used On It? Addressing the elephant in the room. Partnership is on pause there. Still like their products, but DDP Yoga is our primary sponsor and another one that we have. So stop asking about that, you guys. We still like them. Great relationship with those folks, but working with a different company right now. Somebody, I look at my phone and it is lighting up with people who are at NXT or were at NXT and talking about how great the crowd reaction was there. I could only imagine. When I was in talks with Raj about going to Dallas a few months ago, and it didn't work out. I was like, I can stay here, hold down the fort because Vince is gone. He's gone. Mark's covering a ton of news, which I'm sure you've seen. I looked online for NXT tickets because if I'm in Dallas, I'm going to that show. The secondary market, the cheapest was like $200 and some. Nobody was wanting to sell those tickets. It's like they put them on there, but it's like, okay, if somebody will pay that much for them, sure, do it. Why not? Absolutely. But man, NXT is a hot product right now. Isn't it about time WWE partners with New Japan? Imagine an invasion angle. I mean, a talent exchange, I think that would work. Probably at the NXT level. I don't know if WWE would be interested in that. I know TNA was interested, and New Japan was not. New Japan shot them down. I know that TNA also approached Lucha Underground, who also shot TNA down. Lucha Underground also had meetings with WWE, so I'm sure WWE's willing to listen. If they had meetings with Lucha Underground, I'm sure they're willing to at least talk. Now, the Lucha Underground thing may have been in relation to the Global Cruiserweight Series, which was, you know, Zack Sabre Jr. was announced for that. Rich Swann, really excited about Zack Sabre being in there. He reminds me a lot of Billy Robinson, who I had the fortune, or the great fortune of training under a couple times. That British fantastic chain catch wrestling style. he's really, really great. I know a lot of you haven't seen him. Look up a highlight video of him. Excellent stuff out of him. I know he's kind of like the golden calf in that tournament as of right now. I know King Cuerno tried to get in it from Lucha Underground and has just kind of like stopped returning calls from Lucha Underground for the last month or so. It just went off the radar because he wanted to be in the Global Cruiserweight Series, but he's got one of those 7-season contracts and he can't get out of it. Prince Puma also has a deal. Ricochet has a deal where he can get out after the 3rd season, but the way that Lucha Underground contracts are set up is that the contract runs until the season's over, like it airs. But I don't know if that's a different thing for him because, you know, he portrays a completely different character on that program than he does on the indies, by all means. So, yeah, lots of crazy stuff. Somebody asked if Kyle O'Reilly is ever coming to the WWE. I hope so. He's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch now. He's really taken that MMA hybrid style and made it something special. Is Matt Riddle coming? I heard that Canyon Seaman didn't necessarily like his match today with Thacker. I don't know if that was maybe somebody just trolling one on me, but somebody did tell me that. But I know that the WWE has wanted to sign him or has basically had him under their thumb for a while. So, yeah, Matt Riddle, I would imagine, eventually will end up in the WWE. Very good. If you want to see a funny promo, check out the promo he cut after a UFC fight on British people. And my apologies if you're British, but you'll laugh about it. You'll think it's hilarious. It was excellent. It had Dana White practically in stitches. By the way, before we go, a little MMA news. Daniel Cormier dropped out of his fight with Jon Jones at UFC 197. I don't know if Rumble Johnson will step up. I know that Rumble Johnson was training in case somebody pulled out. But Jon Jones does not like to take last-minute fights like that. He turned down Chael Sonnen several years ago, so I would imagine he's going to turn down Rumble Johnson. Yeah, this makes Cejudo, Mighty Mouse Johnson a main event right now. I love Mighty Mouse Johnson, Kentucky-born, all on board with him, but that is not a pay-per-view main event. Not with the pay-per-views they've been having, not with the pay-per-views they're going to have. So they need to step up and add something to that, a card that's in like 3 or 4 weeks, bad, like big time. Like somebody asked if Jon Jones is in rehab. No, he's not. He, by all means, it doesn't appear that he has a drug problem anymore. He has an authority problem, it looks like. He was arrested for a probation violation this week and was put in jail for a couple of days, but the Albuquerque Police Department has had some major issues. If you just Google them and some of the issues and them being sued, now, by all means, Jon Jones was being a complete dick, but so was the cop. The cop was kind of egging it on. And, yeah, that's definitely worth watching. It's up on the site. But you could tell, and the cop said that he didn't know who Jon Jones was. Believe me, everybody in Albuquerque knows who Jon Jones is. So that's going to be interesting to see where that happens. Jones Cormier may get thrown on that UFC 200 card. So who knows? Somebody says, what do you think of Noah Foley's future in WWE training? I've not seen her do anything athletic, so it's hard for me to have an opinion on that. I know the reason that I was told that they didn't necessarily want her as a backstage interviewer because she was tall. And, you know, they don't want her to stand next to Neville and, no pun intended, her to dwarf Neville. So, yeah. Also, I was told Colt Cabana came back to Ring of Honor tonight. Good for him. Good for Ring of Honor. Another great show. Colt Cabana shows. I think he's a fantastic host. So, WrestleMania Sunday. The last couple of WrestleMania builds, lackluster, sort of. Eventually, the Daniel Bryan story was accidentally immaculate in the way that it unfolded. But really, the build wasn't much the last couple of years, but both of those shows delivered. Do you all think that this show is going to deliver? I think that it might. I mean, you got to believe those 7 guys in that ladder match are going to be willing to kill themselves because 3 or 4 or 5 of them shouldn't even be in there, shouldn't be anywhere near it. I would believe that Kalisto and Ryback are going to try to prove that they belong on this show because they've had a lot of things like that. There's a lot of chip on the shoulder stuff going on right now because the WWE has all these injuries. And every time that we have an injury in mainstream WWE, Randy Orton, John Cena, Rollins, even to an extent Cesaro, people say, who's going to step up? Who's going to get the push? Who's going to be the next guy? And WWE never brings anybody up to that spot. They tried with Sheamus, and they had to know it wasn't going to work. They had to know it wasn't going to work. But it never happens. So there has to be a lot of guys on this show that are wrestling with chips on their shoulders like, hey, why didn't I get that chance? Why didn't I get that opportunity? And why are these people saying that I don't belong on WrestleMania? Let me show them that I do belong on there. As people are saying, Zack Ryder, I got to be honest, he's had some kick-ass matches on Superstars lately. I know that absolutely 3 of you watch Superstars, but he's had some really good matches on there lately. Yeah, the Feed Me More chant with Ryback, got to go, especially if you're a heel. Why are you trying to get people to chant for you if you're a heel? Don't understand it. I am still looking forward to WrestleMania, but it's going to be hard to top Sami Zayn Nakamura. That was almost as perfect as a pro wrestling match as you'll see. I think it was the best match that I've seen in NXT, and pardon me if I'm forgetting something, but since Zayn Neville, and with the emotion and everything involved, the best overall entertainment experience I've gotten from that show. Somebody said that Ryback should take us another Cialis to impress Brock Lesnar. Yeah, if you all haven't seen that Table for 3 with Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, and Ryback, do it. Do it immediately. It's fantastic. Do you think Daniel Bryan will go to New Japan after his WWE contract is over? If you would have asked me that a week ago, I would have said no. His contract is frozen. I don't know how that works, if they can keep him for good. But if he took it to court, he could absolutely get out of it. I don't know if New Japan would want that like publicity hit of letting a guy come over there and work that style, considering WWE wouldn't let him work a lesser style. Also, it had been thought that finally Daniel Bryan had decided that retirement was the right thing for him. Then that episode of 24, really good episode of 24, was on the network. He did not want to retire. Vince McMahon wanted him to retire. That says a lot. I just want the dude to be healthy. I do. I feel like he could have had a presence on this WrestleMania, not in a match, but you know, if he would have gotten involved at the end of the Brie Lana thing and maybe put Rusev in the yes lock and got some heat on that match and made a little WrestleMania moment, I think that would have been good. Guys, I am back Sunday night after WrestleMania with Vince Russo. I want to thank you all so much for bearing with me. I did this show by myself after UFC 196, but it's been a while. It's not easy to talk into a camera nonstop for an hour, despite how easy sometimes it might seem. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for all the support you all give the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I really appreciate it. The more you support it, the more you support our sponsors, things like that, the more shows we can do, the more guests we can bring on, the more often we can do them. ddpyoga.com/Wrestling Inc. Like I said, tweet them, let them know. If you order anything else off their site, let them know that Wrestling Inc. sent you and that Wrestling Inc. wants you to watch that Jake the Snake Roberts documentary, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. Guys, I'll catch you Sunday. Bye.